With the evaluation races in the books, the stage is set to kickstart the inaugural TSRC GT3 series here on the prime platform of Assetto Corsa Competizione. And to do so, we travel to Kyalami Grand Prix circuit, the perfect venue to catalyse what is tipped to be a season to remember. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zach Sweeney, and I'll be bringing you all the action here today. So buckle up, because we are in for a wild ride. We're going straight into a 15-minute quali around the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. As I said, we've already had our 2 evaluation races, and we are looking forward to kickstart this season with an absolute banger. We've got notable names, the likes of Jamie Nuttall, Joan Moorman, Josh Millington and Jack Young. Those are the 4 that I've been told those to look out for, but there is still an opportunity to be surprised as always. So we'll find out in 13.5 minutes time. On board at the moment with Nico Verter in the Bentley GT3. He's now working his way through the S's, a tricky sequence of corners that you're going to have to work your way through rather eloquently, it must be said. It really is a hop, skip and a jump. Use the momentum of the car, and well, in my personal experience of ACC, that Bentley certainly does know how to handle itself as he negotiates one of the key overtaking opportunities as well down in towards turn 10 of New Clock. You can see the traffic is really starting to build up now. We see Joe Moorman, the Dutchman, who is tipped to do very well in the championship. He is in that BMW. Kickstarted his sort of pre-season off in the evaluation races with some good results. He heads through the final corner now, down the straight, of course, with a kink. He needs to get this qualifying lap in. It's crucial, really, to get a banker, as, again, it can really tell the tale for the remainder of your session. Of course, as he bounds his way down the straight in towards turn 1, you've got to get on the anchors. You've really got to get the car stopped. You use the track on the exit through the right-hander as well, and then through the left. You've really, again, just got to try and open yourself up for this next left-hander of turn number 4, because this run through to this quick right-hander, again, a bit of traffic getting in the way, which isn't going to be fantastic for him. He's going to try and negotiate it to the best of his ability, and try and not let that hamper him too badly. And of course, those on the outlaps running a little bit too wide, pushing the limits, of course, as to be expected, is Merman through the left, and then back again towards the S's. Very tricky, can really set the tone for the lap. This is sort of the do or die moment, really, as you just chuck it left, chuck it right, and hope the car sticks, especially as the track falls and it climbs back. And you just have to maximise every apex through the braking zone. Brake as soon as you're straight from the kink, get the car stopped, nice apex, and of course, again, you go through that left-hander, a little bit of a kink, which can unsettle the car if the traction isn't there. Fortunately for Moorman, he's doing a pretty good job. Flat through this downhill left-hander as you approach the final sector of the circuit. Bring it back to the left-hand side, heavy on the anchors, clip the apex, use the track on the exit. Now this, as I said to the S's, they are the do-or-die moment. This lap, this corner can really ruin your lap. That massive sausage curb on the inside, Moorman does a great job avoiding it. He uses full commitment going through, and what can he do for his first lap? At the moment, it's Brignara who is on provisional pole at 1:43.65. What can Moorman do as he crosses the line in just a few moments' time? He'll probably catapult himself towards the front end. He goes P3, 3.5 tenths off Brignara, and with a 1:40.720. A decent lap to get a session underway, but we're still 2/3 of it left to go. Still a lot to unfold. This is Matt Acton in the Aston Martin, representing the British people. Towards, again, this braking zone. It is just about qualifying. Kyalami is a circuit that you can overtake on. It's not particularly too difficult to overtake around Kyalami. You can get it done, but of course, naturally, as racing drivers, you want to start as far forward as possible. Farther forward you start, less cars there are to overtake, less risk there comes with potentially crashing out and things like that. So always good to even just from a morale point, actually, to start the season off with a good qualifying result. You go into the first race confident, and that is what can happen. Acton, fortunately for him, was able to get away with going over that curb, but it is so tricky. Your car just bottoms out. It's just like, nah, not happening, not today. But yeah, back to what I was saying about getting the season off to a good start from a morale point of view, from being able to just say, you've qualified well. This first race of the season is going to be a little bit less chaotic. It's going to be a little bit less doom and gloom than I would have thought. And you can just then kickstart it and use that momentum into the race, and of course into subsequent rounds as well. So we'll see what Acton can do. At the moment, P18, 2.9 seconds off the provisional pole time that is set by Brignara. who still holds firm with a 40.3, and that time seems hard to beat because Jamie Nuttall, actually, I say that, in the Honda goes straight to provisional pole position of 140.245, so it is already hooking up to be a very, very close qualifying session indeed, as Mohammed, well, for his second lap, 0.04 seconds off. So between those two tips to be very good in this championship, they are certainly starting off all guns blazing. Let's see what he can do. I do have to apologise, everyone. I am solo in the commentary booth, so it is kind of hard to sort of fill and all that. Hopefully I will be able to get the live chat up in the stream, so if there is anyone tuning in, any questions you want to ask, anything you want to feed in information wise, it would be lovely to hear your thoughts and feelings going into this race to kickstart the TSRC GT3 series. Of course, season 1, the inaugural round. Let's hope we can get it off to an amazing start and hopefully use that momentum for the final for the rest of the season, really. I say final few races, it's not, it's the rest of the season. A long way to go. We've seen that here. Brignara, and I will tell you how long we have left to go because they're right next to me. After, of course, Kyalami, we head to Germany for Nürburgring, then to Watkins Glen. After that to Zolder Bathurst, and then we round the season off in Japan at Suzuka. A great circuit indeed, one that is, yeah, can't beat it, especially in GT3 cars. Those S's are fantastic, but we have to attention back to this race. Of course, the rest of the calendar is something to look forward to. Many great circuits, great in GT3 cars, great racing across the board, so it should be one to remember. And of course, we get it off to good fashion. There's a McLaren rolling backwards. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, and of course, Scott Ticehurst was sort of there in the mix. Not sure if he had anything to do with it in the Audi. We'll see. Gardner Mav goes up. He's in P12 for the time being. A large grid we've got in store for us today, it must be said, as we approach the halfway point in qualifying. 7.5 minutes left to go. It is a large grid, should bring equally large amounts of racing. You would hope. Brignara back onto provisional pole position of 140.1, I should say, with Jamie Nuttall just behind, 0.022 behind, 22 thousandths of a second. To put that into perspective, how just, how crazily close that is, a blink of an eye is something, not too far off that. So it is literally the blink of an eye that separates those two as well. Makes a bit of a fluff of the S's, and that is what I mean in terms of how tricky they can be. All it takes is a slight snap, you lose that momentum, you lose that rhythm, and that is just your entire thing ruined. You've got to nail each one. You start with the first one, bring it into the left, and if you don't set up the right too well, you get a bit of a snap, and then it compromises the rest of the lap. Very hard to bring it back onto line and to maintain that same minimum corner speed and that same momentum as we see Marcinek running through in the BMW. He at the moment is P17, 1.8 seconds off the pole, but it is very close. Of course, as I say, 1.5 cents covers our top 3 of Brignara, Nuttall and Mohamed. Jack Young just outside that in P4. Sun running off your top 5 to provisionally at all for at the moment, of course, 4.5 cents separates our top 5, so it is very close. We look to the midfield as well, and you see between Crinton and Chol Mondeli, virtually nothing between those two 1/1000ths of a second. So not only should it be a good fight for the race lead and for the podium places, amongst the midfield and the lower positions inside the top 10 should be very good as well. This is Volodya through the corner, very tricky corner, it must be said, as we will say that is a striking livery. Well, I should say a striping livery. A Tiger Mercedes, yeah, wow. Well, I mean, it fits, Tiger Racing Team for Volodya. So, yeah, well, that is not one you often see. I can't ever say that I've seen an animal print on a livery. I've seen an animal face, I've seen a panda, but I've never seen a full car wrapped in a tiger. So yeah, well, the Estonian is certainly enjoying that ride. He's unfortunately down in P22. We'll have to see if he can bring himself up at least inside the top 20. That is to be determined. 5 minutes left to go in qualifying, then we kickstart a 75-minute race. Mandatory pit stop, fixed fuel time, so it is just however you can do it on track. You've got to get in, you've got to do your pit stop, hit your marks. Actually, that could be a big deciding moment. Oh, the car bottling out for Volodya there off the exit of that fast right-hander over the curb. These GT3 cars very sensitive to that, and if you're not careful, you will be spat out. Bologna through in towards the S's, trying his absolute hardest really to just maximize his lap and try and recover from it. Let's see. Towards the left-hander at the end, of course, of Leo Cup through the King down mineshaft, and then toward this fast flat-out left-hander. It is flat-out. It's a little bit similar to Brands, actually, of course, Paddock Hill, because it's a corner that's constantly going down. You turn in as you're still going downhill, and then as the track levels out, you suddenly have a load of grip, and then the car just bites back in. So similar to Paddock Hill is that left-hander that the car will eventually, if you trust it, will eventually come back to you, and the grip will be given. Bologna through the final corner. And again, it is so crucial, so crucial to get a good run, because you're flat out all the way down towards Crowthorne at turn 1. So this long straight will present itself to some action, I'm sure, in the race. Of course, we do have the rolling start here in ACC, so that's something to look out for as they break as late as they can, or as early as they can. Maybe they want to go for a bit more of a conservative stance to start this race. We'll find out in around about 5 or 6 or so minutes time when we get ourselves underway for the race. Jack Young, P4 at the moment, 3.2 cents I should say, off the provisional pole sitter of Brignara. He's trying to improve upon that time though. He's a racing driver, he wants more. He's on the second row. Can he get himself towards the front? It's going to be a tough ask. He's going to need a lot of time in order to do that. Through the penultimate corner of Cheetah towards the final late apex. Get the car in a straight line as early as possible. Absolutely floor it on this run as you slightly climb over the crest towards the line. Has he been able to improve upon that time? It was his last lap time of 40.9, his best a 14.4. So unfortunately for him, not the lap time that he would have wanted. The track is optimum. It's in the best conditions it can possibly be. So they are running hot laps. Nothing to worry about. The track nice and rubbered in. No rain forecasted for this race as well, so it should be pretty plain sailing for this race. As Josh Millington gets himself into P7, his best lap time of the session, a 1:41.0, not at all too bad for the Briton. Let's see, Scott Tythurst, who we saw in the Audi a little bit earlier on, how's he doing? He's up to P13. That is just the thing in these qualifying sessions. 15 minutes, a lot of drivers on the grid, very close between each one. You just have to go out there, do some laps, get into a rhythm. Of course, these drivers would have done, they've done the evaluation practices. They know roughly where they sit in the pecking order. They know, what can I aim for? Top 10, top 5, win, podium, something like that. They know where they sit, and they'll be looking to go for that. But with how close it is, the track conditions and things like that, it can always be ever changing. So you've got to be out there, you've got to get into a rhythm, and you've got to put those lap times down to see just the off chance maybe that you might surprise yourself. If you can hook up a lap, you can really surprise yourself. What can Tysus do? It's up in a P12 just ahead of Smoggy, and not by much, 2/100ths of a second between the two of them. So as qualifying is soon drawing itself to a close. It is Jamie Nuttall that is on provisional pole position. He was able to put himself ahead of Brignara by 7/100ths of a second. Still barely anything separating the two of them. And Jack Young do across the line. Slightly improvement, but not enough to breach Moerman in P3. So he stays last on the second row as it stands. Brignara will want to have an answer to Jamie Nuttall in that Honda, the number 14. A 140 dead. Can Brignara get himself into the 139s? Can he be the first man to do so? Mattia Brignara through the final sector now in towards the Cheetah penultimate corner. You've got to chuck it in, you've got to commit, but hope that the car will stick and hope that you don't ride over that sausage curb in towards the final corner. Brake late, using all the track possible is that Audi. Brignara now on the run to the line, probably one of his final laps in qualifying. Indeed, it probably will be his second last lap in qualifying. He needs to make a statement. Has he been able to? No. It was his best lap time, but not by much. He's going to go again. He's got to go again. Jamie Nuttall in the pit lane, so he won't be able to respond if Brignara is able to pit him to pole position for the first round here of the TSRC GT3 series. We'll have to wait and see. Brignara, he's got one more lap to prove himself. Otherwise, it's going to have to settle for second. Still on the front row, though. Still will be alongside Nuttall towards turn 1. We'll have to wait and see how that one transpires. 14 seconds left in qualifying, and here's Brignara. Him and Berman are the only two inside the top 4 out on track. They're going to want to have a say in the final standings of qualifying through the left-hander in towards now. The S's dipping down, chucks the car in through the left, through the right. Complete commitment from the Audi, using the track on the exit. The checker flag is waved. This will be everyone's final lap over the crest through the dip. You've got to be able to brake as soon as the car's in a straight line here. Pitch it in, try and make this kink as little of a corner as possible through the left. Then you ride downhill, reaching incredible speeds. You've got to trust the car, slight lift maybe for safety. Get as close to this inside curve as you can, because it brings you to the left-hander here as you slam on the brakes. Chuck the car in, hit a nice late-ish apex. Use the track on the exit as you climb up. Very much as a roller coaster track is Kyalami through Cheetah for the penultimate corner. Has he been able to get up on his time, or will he have to play second fiddle to Jamie Nuttall here for the first session in this season? Right-hander through the left-hander, using to the right-hand side of the circuit. Shortest run to the line. Was it an improvement? I don't think so. Nara's going to have to settle for second. What can Merman do though? Has he got an answer? His best lap time of 40.2, the pole time of 40.0. He himself is in that final sector. Similar to Brignara, will want to improve on his lap time. He's got 2 more corners left to go. Is he pushing for a lap? Will be his final opportunity. A little bit wide though. That could be lap invalidated. It is going to be lap invalidated. He brings himself into the pit lane, and that brings qualifying to a close. Waiting for the last few to bring themselves across the line, and we will go through the final standings as they rack up after 15 minutes of qualifying. I can confirm Jamie Nuttall takes pole position ahead of Mate Brignara. Merman and Young round off the second row of the grid, with Sun Larson your third row, Millington and Hamling 7 and 8, Copeland and Tysers rounds off your top 10, with Jackson and John Modley for each other's company. On the sixth row of the grid, Saristo P13, Smoggy P14, Mav 15, Ziege in P16, Crinson P17 with Volager in P number 18. Rounding off the top 20 comes Marching and Pike. We have then Van Vingerden in P21, Shaw P22, Acton P23, and he'll be joined by Loambert for the 12th row of the grid. Rounding off in P25, 26, 27, we've got Verta, Kun, and Fujikawa there at the back of the grid. 1 minute 30 until the race gets underway. I'm going to go and bring up the YouTube chat before we get ourselves underway for an hour and 15-minute race, with 1 pit stop mandatory in this race, and a very, very close and very hungry grid of drivers. They're going to want to prove themselves and get going. Kickstart this first season in style.
Seconds.
Ten seconds then on the countdown. The driver's adrenaline will be racing. They have got a formation lap to do to get those tyres up to temperature first before they get themselves across the line and to start the hour and 15 journey around Kyalami Grand Prix. To see what happens. Jamie Nuttall will lead them round. Brignara on the front row. He's leaving a massive gap between himself and the Honda, the number 14. Strategical or not, he's catching up now. So yeah, that went around in a single file. He's Brignara certainly wants to be double file. Maybe give a Nuttall a little bit of a shoulder, just to say, hey, look out down in towards turn 1. Because I'm going to be on your outside. I'm going to be looking feisty. I'm going to try and get that race win, or race lead, sorry. Towards lap 1, or can Merman or Young get themselves involved as well? That also is something to keep in mind. But this formation lap around the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit is going to be rather long. Of course, there has been many renditions of the circuit. Opened back in 1961, and the modern circuit as we know it was updated in around about 2016 with modern turns 1 to 3 complex added, as well as the widening of the crocodiles. So those left-hand sequences. We're waiting for our final driver of Fujikawa to round the first corner. But like the last, he's still the first corner of his lap, he's still not even down towards T1 yet. So what is he? I'm not entirely sure. Actually, no, I'm just being stupid. Ignore me, ladies and gents. I have absolutely no clue what I'm talking about. He's going through turn 4, and this is then the fast right hand that leads through in towards the crocodiles. This should be called up to about. Ignore me. I'm rusty. It's the heat in the UK, you see. That's what I'll put it on. Even though we've had a bit of a doomy gloomy last couple of days, it's been the heat. Regardless of which, we have got a race to call. We've got Jamie Nuttall, who will be rounding off into the final sector in just a few moments' time. He'll get himself underway. But until then, stay tuned because I can't wait. Oh my word, who's that in the Porsche? Is that Son? Or is that Larson? I'm not sure. Wow. Regardless of a road Porsche, we've got a race to call. We've got a race to get underway. Jamie Nuttall and Brignara will line up 1 and 2 with Merman and Young just behind on the second row, 3 and 4. The first round. The inaugural season of the TSRC GT3 series here on ACC is about to get underway. Nuttall controls the field. He controls the pace as they approach the timing line. And they'll barrel their way down towards T1. What can happen? He's going to have the inside line. Can he protect it though? Is going to be the question. Is Brignara going to look to go the long way around as they approach through the final corner? Waiting for the green flag. Waiting to signal the way. An hour and 15 of the TSRC GT3 series, Season 1. We're waiting. And we are underway for the first round of the first season. And Nuttall leads from Brignara, Merman, Young and Son, your top 5, but a bit of side-by-side action. That's Son under pressure from a couple of Audis. You can see Brignara already able to get the jump over Nuttall down in towards turn 1. Can Jamie launch the re-offensive? Not quite able to. Side-by-side as well between Merman and Young. The two BMWs taking a clash. Can Nuttall come back at him in towards T number 4? Not quite able to, so it is going to be Brignara that leads. Nuttall has no answer for the time being. Really got jumped off the start. Brignara with a fantastic effort. Here comes Nuttall though, looking to the right-hand side in towards one of the fastest corners on the circuit, is forced to concede, and now we look to Merman, who wants to get involved as well. He rounds off the podium. Can he get the jump on the compromised Honda to the outside in towards the crocodiles? Is a little bit having a look in towards the S's now. Can Nuttall launch an attack? He's sort of in an awkward predicament here. Does he try and push hard to get the race lead back? Does he hold station and try and keep second place? We'll have to wait and see, but we've still got a long way to go in this race. In towards the heavy braking zone here of T10. No one launching a move. A bit of a side-by-side moment further back as Volodya tries to make his way past the likes of Jackson and Smoggy. Oh, BMW off. Oh, he takes him out. Oh, no. Big crash here for lap 1. Volodya just about manages to squeeze his way through and come out unscathed. Not entirely sure who that was involved as the timing tower doesn't refresh fast enough. A McLaren to the inside of Shaw, I believe, on Loambert as they head through. But yeah, a lot of carnage to call on this first lap. Aston Martin also darting to the inside. That's Acton trying to make up some places too. And I think, according to my lifetime in the Nuttall, has managed to get himself ahead of Brignara. Here comes Acton though to the inside of Loambert. Through the penultimate corner in towards the final one. The Bentley as well. The Nissan, sorry. Looking, trying to follow him through. Use that gap to pry open. Brignara leads from lap 1. Nuttall, Merman, Young and Son, your top 5 side by side still though between the Aston Martin and the Audi. Noah's Ark 2x2. Both Nissans round off just behind with Vingegaard and Fujikawa. Who's going to be letting us on the brakes though? It is going to be Vingegaard to claim the inside line. All car off there as well. A lot of carnage, a lot of action to call on this first lap, but we are 1 lap into this season. Well, I should say 1 qualifying session and 1 lap into this season. Vingegaard trying to make the most of this early carnage, early scraps going on. Acton lurking to the inside still, and this is the fight for the final place inside the top 10. Ziyech and Zaristo, the Aston Martin, the Finn versus Siege in that Mercedes just in front. Unable to find an avenue through for the time being, though. Have to see what he can do. Tysos there, ready to pick up the pieces if anything does go wrong. In fact, he might have to move down towards turn 10. Defensive goes the Aston Martin, pulling to the right-hand side goes Tysos. He's going to go for the old over and under if he possibly can. Has he got the drive through the king? Not quite. So Oscar Saristo is going to hang on for now. Not entirely sure what's happening towards the sharp end of the field, because I think Nuttall is trying to put some pressure on Brugnaro, but equally has got Merman and Young to worry about side by side between these two, though. This is the action at the front. Fastest lap for Brugnaro as he led the first lap, but he is still under constant hammering from the likes of Nuttall, Merman and Young. These cars in a 4-car train for the race lead, more so a 3-horse race, but any battling could bring them back into contention, the likes of Young and Sun outside the top 5 as well. Brugnaro look in his mirrors, we're seeing a nice rear-wing shot, and you can see the tail end of sort of the top 6 there of Larson in that Porsche, making up the final of this train. So again, still a lot to unfold, still a lot of action still to come. Can Nuttall launch an attack? He certainly looks feisty through that first sequence of corners, but doesn't quite have the momentum really to launch an attack. And in doing so, Merman actually closes up a nice chunk of time too. They go through the right-hander very fast. Got to be committed. Could be a sight of calamity in this race. We see John Wanderley on the back of Larson, who's fallen victim to Millington, and is now down to P7, soon maybe to be P8 as well if John Wanderley looks to find a way through sooner rather than later. They'll go through the S's, nowhere through here. Very one-line S, very difficult to go side by side, very difficult to send the move, but here's where it counts. Uphill climb over the crest in towards turn 10. No move though this time around for any of them. Millington hangs on to 6th, Larson 7th, and John Wanderley in P8. They have got Hamlin though for company in that Ferrari. And the train, the tow, keeping everyone really nicely in touch as well. Oh, there goes Pike off on the exit of the S's. Has he managed to hold it? Yes, he has. Remarkably so, going over the grass there. That is going to be dangerous. He's been able to hold on to that car though. He lost a couple of places, lost a bit of momentum as well to the likes of Copland, Fujikawa, and Loambert. So not exactly what he would have wanted in the beginning of this race at all. Still a long way to go though, over an hour, 1 minute 9 in this race. No action to call for the moment because, yeah, there's pretty single file at the front. Merman though has put Nuttall on a compromised line down towards turn 1, so it could turn into a Brugnaro domination if he remains clean, because Nuttall at the moment doesn't seem keen to really fabricate that move. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Merman, Nuttall and Young, all those that were tipped to come into this season fighting, they are 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but the surprise maybe of Brugnaro up there in P1. He certainly is making a name for himself, starting the season strong, as I said in qualifying, get that morale, get the season off to a good start. Really does help swing the momentum for the next, what will be 5 races of this season. As I said, we travel to some incredible circuits. So cannot wait to see how the rest of the season goes. In towards turn 10 once more. The 4-car train for the race lead still holds strong, though Merman a little bit wide. That could invite Young through. He does get a better drive, but not good enough. And still just about a couple of car lengths short. So yeah, unfortunately for him. Mrs. Siege side by side with Saristo for P10. He has to tuck in behind as Lucas Siege, the German car of the Mercedes, trying to launch the counter-attack very quickly though, putting the Aston Martin under a bit of pressure. Unable to go for the switchback, or is he? No way through into that penultimate corner of Cheetah. You just can't, physically can't get the drive off, at least on this occasion for Siege. As we round off our 3rd lap, I should say, onto 4. Brugnaro leads from Nuttall, Merman, Young and Sun, your top 5, and that's pretty much been stationed since the first lap. Didn't quite manage to catch the move for the race lead between Brugnaro and Nuttall on that dash towards turn 1. There's a side-by-side moment as well between the BMW and the Porsche. Further back too between Copeland and of Acton as well. So this is a pretty feisty midfield fight to get our hands going on. Side by side still, the Aston giving him a nice wide berth, just attacking behind, or is he? He's going to be late on the brakes to the left, playing the inside line. Copeland sees him coming. Has to tuck in, gets a bit of a twitch on the exit though. That's not going to help him as they climb through T2, 3 and into 4. Yeah, no way through for the BMW to get him back inside the top 20. Talking of points and how that works in terms of the scoring. Points are awarded all the way down to P20, so this would be a fight for a single point for Copeland. So again, you always want to race for points. He looks to the inside, unable to for the moment, but in terms of points, 30 for P1, 24 for P2, 20 for P3, 17 for P4, then 16 fifth, 15 for 6, and all the way down to 1 for a singular point for P20. So points on offer, very close points gaps as well. So want to obviously keep things interesting over the course of the season. You can't really afford to have a bad round with how close those points rack themselves up. Copeland is close though. Question is he close enough? Aston's still going defensive, parking the car very nicely actually, getting it stopped on the apex too. Still no way through for Copeland. Has to still play second fiddle. 1 hour 6 left to go. Not even breaching the 1 hour mark yet. Not even 10 minutes into this race. We've seen a lot of action. This is between Smoggy and Ticehurst for P11. Uphill climb. T4. Smoggy not able. Interested in keeping that place, of course, did start in P10, I believe. So, unfortunately for him, he's fallen back. But a big train of cars in front of him. 4 cars, in fact. The likes of Cholmondeley, Larson, Hamling, and Soristo. So, a couple of places to pick up if he and Smokey want to work together. They're also going to pick up the likes of Jackson and Maeve. Just behind them. So, try and work together, I guess, to get onto the back of that train. Still close between Brignara and Natal. Literally matched in terms of lap time. A 1:47.57 for Brignara, the same for Natal. So they are neck and neck in their fight for the race. They have dropped Merman and Young just a little bit. The 2 BMW couplet is about a couple of tenths off, couple of car lengths off this lead fight. So that'll be a delight for Natal, who doesn't have to look forwards and backwards. He can focus his attention forward. He is pushing like crazy. Try and reclaim that race lead that he got from pole position. You think usually it's a given to lead a race when you're on pole position, but he's yet to lead a lap. Under pressure, Merman and Young. Bringing it back to the left-hand side, though. We'll have to see how those two get on, but still very close. You can see Young is all over the rear end of his fellow BMW. Still no way through, though. No way through for any of them. They're really struggling to make moves. There's nowhere really to go through. There's obviously the 2 main overtaking places into T1 and T10, the heaviest braking zones and widest opportunities to do so, but still no one able. Maybe the Honda doesn't quite have the legs on the straight compared to the Audi. Maybe there's compromises being made on setup. Maybe it's that drive off the final corner that's really hampering Natal. Maybe Brignara is just parking the car brilliantly and driving very precisely in order to maintain that rhythm and that momentum. Our first pit stop, though, very premature. The pit window is not open until half an hour into this race, so Ziege, yeah, not what he would have wanted to kickstart his season, potentially maybe even a DNF. This is the fight still between Copeland and Acton. They've worked their way up to P17 and 18 respectfully, so both of them still going to pick up a couple of points if it stands as is. So again, this is going to be the theme, I think, of this race. And just triplets, couplets, getting into their own little scraps. Right, maybe for Acton. The dust being kicked up in front as well. Here comes a BMW looking feisty to the inside. Oh, that's going to get feisty. Acton gives him the squeeze. Copeland says, no, you don't. He's going to hold firm, but in the end is forced to concede because he doesn't quite have the jump. He's going to get the drive off the final corner, though, runs side by side with the Aston Martin. Unfortunately, this is only for P17, so not something for the crowd to run wild about, but the BMW diving deep, has to back out though because Acton is committed on the brakes. He will just dart that car towards the apex very aggressively, it must be said, but it works. A couple of seconds up to Vingerden in front, P16. So no way to lead the charge forward, and if they start battling amongst themselves too much, that could spell disaster. Still match between our two fronts of Brugnaro and Natal, 41 dead for both of them. A couple of hundreds, give or take, for the pair of them, but Natal still seems to be hammering Brugnaro as they branch their way away from the likes of Young. This is the fight for P9 between Larson and Soristo. Can the Porsche find his way through? Let's see. A couple of braking zones, of course, around this circuit. As I say, most notably into T1 and T10. Looking to the right, is he going to commit late? Not late enough. Putting the pressure on though, filling the rearview mirror of Soristo. That is the psychological pressure that you can start to apply to a person if you're getting a little bit frustrated behind them. If you can't get the move done quickly, figure out how you can get it done. Try something different. Look left, look right. Go for a move in an unconventional spot. Try something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So, do something different. Dummy them. Get a better run. Try something different with your driving. Get closer at different points in the circuit. Anything to find a way through. Larson, unable to do so. Oh, but unfortunately goes in a bit too deep into T1. Tags Soristo around. They both will tumble down a couple of places. Larson keeps the place. I'm not sure if Soristo is going to have too many smiles about that one lifting off. Good sportsmanship showing from Larson there just to give the place back. But yeah, that's clumsy. You can't be making mistakes like that. Still a long way to go though. Still a lot to recover. Copeland, still joined by Acton. Acton has fallen victim to Copeland on this lap. Finally able to find a way through is the 88 BMW. And can now maybe try and get onto the back of Van Vingerden, but in doing so, his little fight with the Aston Martin, who's cost him 4 seconds, which is quite a lot of time. 15 minutes into this race then, and as they stand, Brugnaro P1, Natal P2, and Young rounds off the podium with Merman and Sun rounding off your top 5. Then comes Millington, Cholmondeley, Hamling, Soristo and Larson, your top 10. I say that actually, my time machines are wrong. It turns out that Cholmondeley, Hamling, Tysest and Smoggy are your top 10. So I was looking at the wrong thing, looking at the tower. Looking at the live timing as opposed to the tower. Probably comes a mistake for myself, I do apologise. Merman has fallen behind Young though. So for Giro and Morman, he's going to try and get past Jack Young again. Maybe he wants to get onto the back of the front too and didn't put up much of a fight. But we didn't quite was able to see this move. 59 minutes left. Long way to go. Still the pit stop window to play into factor as well. That could be Jamie Nuttall's opportunity to get away through. That BMW on the limit going into the S is chucking it in with Merman. Unfortunately for him, it looked cool. Wasn't very quick though. Alexander Millington close behind, only a couple of seconds actually. Here's the Porsche and Audi duo. Here they are, this is Millington in the P6, and that's got the fastest lap of the race as well. Purple lap. And that is something to boast about, quicker than Brugnaro and Natal. So far they have set the standard in this race. Can get the move done on Sun, get himself inside the top 5. That would be a sort of a climb up the field for Josh. Last lap, a 41.0, his best of 40.750, which is matching our front two. So he's doing very well in the beginning stages of this race. Of course, track conditions can change. cars come into different windows at different points. So, but at least for now, that Audi is looking quick. That is a rather damaged Nissan going through. Not entirely sure who that is. Probably. That is Fujikawa, the American. That's rough. That is rough. Already a lap down in this race and a heavily damaged car to go with it. That is just salt in the wound. Not great really for the 75 to kickstart his season. He's languishing around about the P20 sort of area as well, which again isn't good, great in itself, but yeah, he's going to have to limp himself back to the pit lane, or what's that damage to the pit lane? 26 minutes. Actually no, I lie. Sorry, I can't do maths. It's open in 10 minutes, not 11 minutes. I can't do maths. I'm sorry, I completely not a blonde over then, it must be said. No offense to any blondes out there. But yeah, no, just completely blanked. Back to the fight for the race lead though between Brignara and Natal. You can see that Honda practically pushing the Audi through, trying to get the jump. Is he close enough to launch a dive to the inside of T1? Time will tell. Is that Honda brave enough on the brakes? Is the Audi going to flinch and take the bait? Breaking away from the rest of the field though are these two. Both negotiating T1 very well. Bit of a slide though from Natal. That's not great. When all you're trying to do is hammer the pressure, you're meant to be the one causing the mistakes, not the one making them. He wants to get inside the head of Brignara, but instead the desperation, the hunger, the fire for that race lead is slightly getting to him. Maybe he can't see his marks very well, maybe too close to the Audi. All issues, all variables that can play a factor when it comes to racing. One of the many brilliant things about it is there's so much unpredictability, so many different ways a race can go. All it takes is a slight difference here and there, and it can have catastrophic differences in terms of the outcome. You know, going slightly quicker at this point, pitting here, overtaking at this point rather than this point, qualifying, just hitting an apex. And all butterfly effect themselves back into a grander scheme of possibility of how a race can go. For now, it's still station 1 and 2 between Brignara and Natal. For the time being, it must be said, probably Natal just trying to sit there and, as I say, try and force a mistake out of the Audi and cause him to just give himself, give the Honda of Natal just a bit of an open gap, an easy avenue through, rather than making him do all the hard work. 20 minutes into this race then, 10 more minutes until we get to the pit window, 15 minutes on that, and then a half-an-hour sprint to the end. Still another lap goes by and still not close enough. Young as well is falling off the back of these two, Merman off the back of him, so is turning itself into a sort of a two-horse race between the two. This is Millington finally launching an attack on Sun for the top 5. Is he going to be able to go for the over and under in towards turn 1? Not quite. He was on the outside. It's the long way around. Very difficult to be able to do that, but he's now finally hammering some pressure on. The Porsche though is keeping composure and staying in front. Millington, what can he do? Is there a way through? To the right-hand side, that's going to be brave. Oh my word. Oof, what we like to see from Millington. That could have ended badly if he committed to it. Fortunately for him, he didn't. Towards the Crocodiles. Chuck it in. Car will stick. Then towards the S's. And the mistake has come. Here comes Millington looking to the inside. And it should be a pretty plain state to move down towards T10. Late brakes, unless he goes in deep. The Porsche is going to try and hang him to dry around the outside. The length of that route around the corner is way too long for him though. And Millington is through and up inside the top 5. That Audi with some great pace is now pressing forward. The 86 now has Merman and Young in his sights. Only 3 seconds between them. And with the pace that he's showing, shouldn't be too long, maybe, until he's actually onto the back of him. He might bring some with him. That Porsche might be wise just to sit back, use the Audi as the sort of the toe to bring him into that podium contention fight. A little bit further back, though, this is the fight amongst Aristo and Mav. P12. midfield fight. We did say it was going to be close based on qualifying and how close those lap times were too. Fastest lap though for Brignara, 40.677. He's got some response to Jamie Nuttall's pace. It must be said, he's doing a fantastic job out in front, keeping composure and holding his nerve against a hammering opponent of the Honda, the number 14 of Nuttall. Soristo though, quite close enough to the BMW and Maeve to try and actually find a way through. So not much in the way of overtakes to report on because of the difficulty that seems to be, you know, happening around the circuit. Not entirely sure why. Maybe everything's just so even between the cars, between the drivers, that there's no difference. That's why when you're at the level of Brignara and Nuttall, that slight difference that puts you above the rest, separates the good from the great, can enable you to make those moves. But still, you would expect a couple more moves to be made down towards T1 and T10. Not entirely sure, but maybe after the pit window where people are a little bit settled into the rhythm, settled into this season, and then really give us some good action. Andrew Pike on the back of Acton in the Aston, looking to the outside. That's brave. Acton holds firm though, and again making that Aston as wide as possible to not allow Pike through. Of course, in doing so, he is harming himself, picking himself up what will be 3 points in P18, but he's not helping himself long term, because if Pike does find a way through, maybe Veloci gets onto the back of him as well. All this fighting is doing is actually just making things worse for himself, as opposed to just letting them go. After the window, maybe he's got something, you know, bold. Maybe he's going to push. Maybe he's going to show some pace that we haven't seen before. Who knows? The train though between Eric Larson, Soristo and Mav, you can see Soristo pulling to the right hand side. It'll be the long way around. Who's going to break later between the two of them? The Aston though is going to give it a go. The BMW gives him the squeeze now, side by side on the run towards turn 2. The BMW of Mav still on the outside. Larson trying to find a way through. Here comes Soristo the long way around. Brilliant racing. Now here comes Larson, going to go around the outside of the BMW 3T4 as well. Brilliant move from the Porsche. And has he got the move sealed though? The BMW is still there on his outside. Has to back out. And that is brilliant driving. Textbook from Larson, just to use Soristo as that battering ram to open the gap on the BMW. Then says, thank you very much, I'm finding my way through too. Having a P13 for the number 47. First braking. Drive off the corner. Through the left, completely flat out if you're brave. Especially in optimal track conditions though, the fuel might play a factor. The weight of the fuel of the car, there's higher degradation as well. Andrew Pike and Acton still at it for P18. Who can find a way through? Can Pike find a way through? Can Acton hold firm? Again, not the action that we would have particularly wanted, because still holds firm at the front between these two. Brignara and Nuttall. Honda just there. He's there, not close enough to go for a move, but just there. In the rearview mirror of Brignara. Fair play to him, is holding very, very firm indeed. Can the move come? Millington is absolutely flying. He is closing the gap down to those in front of him. Maybe at least, actually. He's quite a way back for him. So too young and on the back of these two, but as soon as they start to fight, that gap could quickly close. A bit wide though from Nuttall. Putting the pressure on deep in towards the final corner. Can he get the drive off it though? That's going to be the main thing if he wants to get himself into the lead of this race. 16 laps have gone by. 47 minutes left to go. 2.5 minutes till the pit window. That's where things can shake itself up a bit. Overcuts, undercuts. Of course, the time spent in pit lane is fixed. 25 seconds fuel stop. Whether they decide to change tyres, presumably not. That Nissan is going very wide just to move out of the way of these guys. But whether that be for tyres, which you presume not, fixed fuel time. But even things as simple as just getting it stopped, getting the engine stopped, getting the car onto the jacks can be difficult and can cost you some crucial couple of seconds. Just getting it slowed down for the pit lane, all things here and there. Getting into some clear traffic when you come out compared to your rival that's gone for an overcut or an undercut. Again, all things that can spice things up when it comes to the pit lane. And that is why races are sometimes won or lost at that stage of the race, especially in the endurance races. Not so much really in these sort of sprint style formats, but still a possibility. As they exit down the hill. Towards the braking zone. Here's Crimson versus Velogia, the Tiger Mercedes, versus the Bull of the Lamborghini. Usually it would be the other way around, the Tiger hunting the Bull, but, well, roles reversed. This time it's the Bull hunting the Tiger. Italian on German as well. Crimson versus Velogia. The Italian Lamborghini versus the German Mercedes. He'll come out on top. Of course, this is for the final points paying position of P20. 1 point on offer. Crimson get himself ahead of Velogia and up into those points paying positions. Of course, it won't start. Of course, it won't mean a hell of a lot at this point, as it only matters when you cross the checkered flag, but it will certainly be a massive help just to get that track position. The gap between Merman and Millington. Stalemate. A couple of tenths quick on that last lap for Millington as opposed to Merman, but not enough to indent much on a 3.6 second gap. Moment is giving Young a bit of pressure. You can see shortening that run through the kink just to get the car straight and flat out sooner. So the two fights, one for the race lead, one for the final podium. And here's the pit window open for 15 minutes up until half an hour left to go in the race. Who's going to come in first? Who's going to come in last? We'll find out. None of our front two coming in, none of our front four coming in. So they're going to wait at least a lap or two before deciding to pull themselves into the pit lane. Are they going to do the same strategy? Are they going to do opposing strategies? Hamling versus Chimondoli. The 351 versus the 111 BMW. 5 tenths between the two. No one biting the bullet and coming into the pit lane yet, except for Chimondoli from 7th on the grid. Can he hit his marks? That is going to be the test. A couple of drivers also in, maybe more for retirements as opposed to a genuine pit stop. Gets it stopped and perfect. Not going to change tyres. That car doesn't go up onto its jacks. 25 seconds fuel stop, and then he'll get himself back underway, and hopefully for him can settle into a nice pocket of traffic. Big grid, 27 cars, as I say, that lined up on the grid for today. So big grid, not a lot of space on track to settle into, and that clean air could be the difference between Hamlin getting in front of him and him not. To have been separated by absolutely nothing, though. It really must be said, they have been down each other's throats. Well, more so Natal down the throat of Brugnara, unable to get close enough to go for the move. And it could be a case of who flinches first, as we see Natal going a little bit wide, and then that compromises his run into this final corner, which compromises his run all the way down through the kink and then down towards the first turn of Crowthorne. It's just not close enough. The toe isn't big enough through the kink, and then downhill braking for T1. It's just, he's never close enough. Lap after lap, he's not close enough. He closes the gap under brakes through this sequence, but can't do much about it. You can see the Audi is just so much more poised, so much more composed through that section. It's so much better and more on rails than this Natal's Honda, who we saw just there through T4. A bit of a slide on the exit, pushing hard, and dropped himself a few tenths back. So needs to pull that time back. Berman on the back of Young, the fight for the podium still. Millington 3.5 seconds back, and is still a threat. Don't forget, don't ever count anyone out. It's motorsport, as we were saying earlier, with variables, possibilities. Anything can happen as the NSX moves out of the way, the lapped car. Good news for Joran and Young. So neither of them hampered. Here comes Pike looking to the inside of Acton, who just brakes late, aims his car at the apex, gets it stopped, and the attacker can't do much about it. The defence being held by the Aston is mightily strong, unbreakable for the moment. No one able to find a way through. Good news for Chomondoli, who has able to find himself in sort of no man's land. 8.7 seconds back to Larson, 8.6 seconds behind this fight for P17. So some nice clear air push, do his own thing while he waits for the likes of Howling and those in front to come into the pit lane. Pike, yeah, he's looking, just not quite committed enough, unable to get the way through. Is close, similar to Natal, who is close, not close enough though. Into the braking zone. Acton is being very, very stubborn. He doesn't want to give this place up at all. The newly turned 59-year-old as well, had his birthday this week. He's, well, for 59-year-old, he's certainly putting up a good fight event amongst everyone else. Certainly not losing any form with age. Pike dummying the pit stop. Acton didn't flinch. Maybe it could be his 59-year-old reflexes, we don't know. He might have wanted to if he could, but he couldn't react quite fast enough. Bless him. Pike though still just, yeah. Great for the Aston's defence. That line is being held, and it's being held strong. Maybe lended to by the track, but Brugnara leads Natal. They both stay out again. Pit window only open for another 9.5 minutes, so they have to think about when they're going to come in. Here comes Merman though. Was behind Young in P4. Gets stopped on his marks. 25 seconds in the box, then he'll go again. He's setting himself into on track. Hubland. P14 was able to make his way forwards and is on the back of Marcinek. Merman, well, a week from now, he's still in the pit lane. Still waiting for him to settle himself back into contention. He's stopped for a long time. It hasn't been 25 seconds. Here he comes. Maybe just time is going slowly. Who knows? Only 8 minutes left to go in this race. Almost halfway done. Who's going to come out on top? For the moment, seems Brugnara is going to lead Natal, but anything can happen between now and the checkered flag. It's racing, ladies and gents. Any of our top two coming into the pit lane on this lap. Through the final sector, they've got the flick right through Cheetah, the penultimate corner, and then they approach the pit lane entry. Any of them in? No. Oh, here comes Natal though. He's coming in slightly earlier than his rival. What could this mean? Does he want some clear air? Maybe. Stuck behind the rear wing of Brugnara, unable to find a way through. Same too with Jack Young, he's coming in. P3. Wants to limit the potential undercut that Merman could get over him. Both pulling into their box. 25 seconds fuel, and then they'll go again, as we always say. Andrew Pike still on the back of Acton, this time for P14 after pit stops.
Halfway through, not over yet.
Originally this is Acton giving Pike the squeeze. Oh, that's dangerous. Pike forces the gap open though. Not able to brake late enough. Acton goes in deep. The BMW comes back up the inside, not through the kink though, not quite able to get his nose ahead and justify himself some racing room. Still Acton holds on. Pike is going to be getting frustrated. He's going to try and find, different avenues through. Dythurst, Smokey and Jackson all into the pit lane this lap too. Either of these two in. Yeah, Pike says, Acton, you're into the pit lane, I'm staying out for another lap, mate. He wants at least a lap to himself, just to chill. Brignara, though, crucial lap for him. Whether this is his in-lap or he's going slightly longer towards the tail end of the pit stop window. Jack Yannick's come out just behind. Actually, no, he hasn't. Just behind Merman. So, in fact, Merman has done a great job. Got himself onto the podium through the pit stop sequence. That undercut has been powerful. And Merman now has got a job to hang on. What can Young do? He's going to want to have an answer to it. A great job in the pit stop sequence from the 26 BMW. Now he's got the job of holding it. He couldn't quite hold it in the first stint from Young, who was able to find a way through pretty quickly and was able to hold it, stretch an advantage as well of around about 8 cents and keep Merman at sort of arm's length. But maybe the tables have turned in this second stint. Maybe Merman has found something different to unleash, and now he's got his nose ahead. Use it. The orange graphic on your left-hand side, the thing next to the car numbers, goes to show who is left to take their mandatory pit stop. So we're still waiting for Coupland, Pike, Millington, Sun, Hamling, Mav, and Soristo, who inherits the race lead from Brignara, who's finally into the pit lane. So now exits the pit lane. Where is Natal? Is he any closer? Is he ahead? He's further away. He's been stuck behind the Mercedes, I think, and that's allowed Brignara to have a bit of a gap. Yeah, you can see Natal stuck behind, I think that's Volodya, in the Tiger Stripe Mercedes, and he's lost a lot of time. The undercut not working out in the Honda's favour, and now he's got a job to press forward and get after Brignara, get past this Mercedes, and then press forward. That's easier said than done. Blue flags in GT3 racing are a little bit different. They don't have to dive out of the way, they just have to not impede. So Natal needs to get close enough, he needs to get for a move. It's a strange one. Fortunately for him, Volodya does move out of the way. And using a bit of common sense. So, Natal. Frustrating. Oh, actually no. He's right on the back of Brignara. They're making a bit of contact. A bit shaken as Natal. And oh, is that Brignara off? Is that genuinely him off? And is Natal into the race lead? Yes, it is. That's Matej Brignara, who has been unshakable for this race. The entire first stint. He comes out after his pit stop and he's spun. Whether that's been desync, and maybe he's made some contact with Natal, whether that's on his own, either way, he's made the mistake. Young trying to stay on the back of Molan for P3. They get past the 88 BMW. And it is hammering him, still there. But not with the track position that he would have wanted. That is heartbreaking for Brignara, really, because he's fallen back behind these guys. And yeah, wow, not the way you want your season to start, it must be said. 33 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in this first round. Here at Kyalami for Season 1 of TSRC GT3. Brignara back into the pit lane. Is this a retirement for the number 9? Is it a damage stop? Either way, it's heartbreak for the Audi. P2 in qualifying, got the lead on lap 1, hasn't looked back since. But the pressure of the pit stop window has got to him. And now Natal looks comfortable for a race victory. approaching the same set of back markers that the likes of Natal and Brugnara did. Moves out of the way slightly easier though. Neither of them really impeded, so still equal between the two. Theresa finally into the pit lane from the race lead. He'll fall. And of course, this is no longer the fight for the podium between Young and Merman. It's the fight for second place after Brugnara's spin, and he's still yet to be out of the pit lane. So it could be a retirement. It would be a shame for the number 9. Cutting our attention back a little bit though. This is Hamling in the Ferrari. He's got TSRC for company. He's trying to get past Cholmondeley, P9. At the moment, scoring a nice hefty 11 points. He wants 12 though. Racing drivers do, they're competitive, they always want more. They happen to round off after our final stragglers in the pit window of Cereso, Copeland and Pike. 1.5 minutes left before the pit window closes, and of course you don't want to get the penalty that comes for not going into the pit lane and having your mandatory stop. So Hamling, the meat in this sandwich of Cholmondeley and TSRC, who has a look to the inside, commits, doesn't phase the Mercedes, the Ferrari at all. Hamling hangs on and is more interested in looking forwards than backwards. And sometimes drivers do get phased by dummies like that, moves that are never on. Some of them say, I don't want to crash, dart out of the way. And Copeland, a stop go, 30 seconds, that will probably be for speeding in the pit lane, I would imagine. That is his race ruined. That is unfortunate. That is the only way to put it. Unfortunate for the 88, sorry. What's the hell? For the 88, had a Lewis McGlade moment there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch the GB4 race at Silverstone. Lewis McGlade couldn't quite get out Nicholas Taylor's name at all. I know a similar moment there with the 88 of Ashley Copeland. That is unfortunate for them. Hopefully no Copeland fans in the audience, fingers crossed. And if you are watching along, by the way, over on the TSRC official Twitch, do make sure to come and check in as well.
The window is now closed.
Come and watch along. Go, make sure to follow. So you can stay up to date with anything going on with TSRC. Come in and have a chat in the old chat room as well. Give me something to feed off a little bit. Of course, RP Fish is the only comment at the moment. So the whole 10 people watching, make sure you are following the TSRC official Twitch channel. And as I say, do get involved in the chat. Jack Young and Merman, 2 and 3 now after Brugnara's spin. And it will fight over that second best to Jamie Natal, who, well, he is doing the best of jobs. To hang on 3.5 seconds really adrift from Merman, who might actually, let's have a look at the previous lap times between the two of them. 41.0 for Natal, 41.1 for Merman, so pretty much equal. So yeah, not much to report, no gaps closing for those two. Close enough. It's slightly frustrating for both him and myself, and I'm sure everyone else in the audience who would love to see these guys go side by side. And hopefully, if and when it does happen, it's not going to be one of those one-move affairs. It's going to be side by side for at least a good few moments. 28 minutes left to go in this race before we reach the checkered flag. George Millington on the back of Sun. This is for P4, the Porsche versus the Audi. Trailing the two BMWs by around about 8 seconds. That BMW in front of them with Copeland is lapped, so will eventually probably move out of the way of the both of them. Just a good sportsmanship. But Sun is going to be looking in his mirrors and keep Millington behind, because that Audi has had some fantastic pace, to say the absolute least. He's on the best of occasions matched our front runners of Natal. Doing a great job. Yeah, matching that, because it is difficult. It is very, very difficult. And stay on a standard that is consistent. I think, actually, we can't attention to the second and third. I think Jack Young has actually been able to get himself ahead of Merman. Indeed, he has, up into second place. That move was done throughout this lap. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get to see it. We were focusing on elsewhere between Millington and Sun, so didn't quite get to see this battle, and that is unfortunate. Is really the case with ACC. Unfortunately, the timer tower doesn't update second by second. It updates sector by sector, so you don't see when people are actually very, very close and going for moves. So it does make production a little bit more difficult. Still managing as best we can, though, so we'll see if we can catch any more of the action, any of the moments. Merman, yeah, once more has fallen victim to that, his fellow BMW, his compatriot, Jack Young. They are still very evenly closely matched, I'll give them that. They are very close. It's just not enough. Close enough. Or maybe too close. Could be the because no moves being fabricated at the moment. Some mistakes, need some good runs from Merman to launch this attack. Meanwhile, Millington gets past Son, who goes in deep through T10. That's going to open the door for the Audis to nip his nose to the inside. They are going to run side by side as they head down the hill towards this fast left-hander. Who's going to back out? Is it going to be Millington? Is Son going to try and hold his nose all the way around the outside? He's going to give him the inside for the next corner. He's going to brake late. Is it late enough? The Audi on the outside. He's going to try and keep his nose ahead. Son hangs on for now, but here comes the Audi. It's going to be the outside for Cheetah. Gets the squeeze. He has to back out. He's going to go for the switchback, the over and under. It's outside line for the final corner. Velocia just gets a front row seat to all of it. Millington going to keep his nose to the outside. The fight for P4 rages on. Son a bit of a slide off the exit. Millington with a better run, and Son has to concede behind the Audi. The 86 of Josh Millington finally through and up into P4. 10 seconds adrift from the podium fight, so might just have to settle here. But was it a mistake from Son that opened the door? He's braking late as he dares to stay in the fight. But great side-by-side action between the two of them. Was remarkable. Great respect. Takes two to tango, of course. This is the fight for 6th with Hamling and Chomondeli. BMW versus the Ferrari. Late braking in towards turn 1, and Hamling still unable. As has been the case, has been the theme for a lot of people today. No way through. Chomondeli exit is left, using all the track and even some more towards the S's. Get the curb, use the momentum. Hamling has got a much better run that could give him a better rise up the hill. Close enough, can't follow close enough. Audi in front is going to move out of their way. Oh, gets a bit of a snap on though and tries to avoid the two, and in doing so puts himself in the wall. So for the greater good, he sacrificed himself. That is Samuel Lambert. Yeah, sacrificed himself in the Audi. Didn't want to take out Chomondeli and Hamling, so just decided to put himself in the wall. And well, he's now got a converter. Company in P21. Merman, again, similar to Young, is on the back of his rival, but still, it's just there's nowhere through. And for one reason or another, whether it's, I'm not entirely sure why it's the case, probably set up the track, maybe not lending itself. It is very tight and twisted. The Nissan just says, nah, not happening. Going to cut straight across the S's, moves out of the way nicely for these two. But for one reason or another, not much in the way of overtaking today, which is surprising. I thought we'd have had quite a bit. But clearly not. So it's really been a race of attrition. Who's been most consistent? Who's been the quickest? And who's been able to seize the most opportunities? Hamling trying to seize one now on the back of Jamondali on the run towards the S's. The Ferrari tried, the Ferrari failed. And they've got Smoggy for company in the 284 Mercedes. The one directly behind them, 1.3 seconds back. Can he find a way through? No. Is the answer to that question. 3T10. Still hammering him. 21 minutes left to go in this race. Not all these from Jack, Jan, Johan Marin, Josh Bennington, Sun, Jamondali, Hamling, Smoggy, Jackson and TSRC, your top 10. Though subject to change, especially this fight for 6th between Hamling and Jamondali. Is he close enough for Ascend? Is he brave enough for Ascend? No, he's not. Oh, maybe he is. Late brake, lift off the brakes a little bit. Though the BMW doesn't flinch, says, nah, mate, that's not happening. You can either do that or you can crash into me. I'm not flinching. Not at all. I want this 6th place. I'm sure are words that are coming out to one of his mouth. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I'm just being stupid. Ferrari, though, has got a good run. He's trying to spot his marks. Through Sunset Bend and in towards Clubhouse. I'm sorry, talking about the crocodiles. I've always been talking about what is T6 as a crocodiles. Completely wrong. Reading my track map wrong. I'm just an idiot. Basically, short and simple, short and sweet. I'm an idiot. It is in fact Clubhouse Bend. That is T6. So I do apologise to all the Kyalami fans that I have in fact offended. You can see Hamlin though very close through Newcock. King down my shaft. This is this downhill run towards this fast left hander that unfortunately doesn't have a name despite his challenges. This is Smoggy though on the back of these two. Putting some pressure on it. There's now joining the fight. So Jamondali is going to hope that Hamling falls into the clutches of Smoggy. Doesn't seem to be the case. The mistake from Hamling has allowed Smoggy to close up in the Mercedes. Was a bit too fast for his liking, couldn't quite react fast enough, had to duck to the curb to try and avoid the rear end of that Ferrari. And now down the pitch straight, through the King, down towards Crowthorne. Who's going to be on top? Is it going to be Jamondali? Is Hamling going to finally launch that send, or is he going to be under threat from Smoggy? Goes defensive to the left-hand side. Smoggy is going to be brave enough on the brakes to go around the long way. He's going to be close, not close enough. Gets given the space and runs out of momentum to consolidate that move. Hamling hang on versus Smoggy. The NSX though just in front of him, catching him at a pretty poor time. Probably will want to move him out the way. And finally the tail end, that BMW of Jackson finally getting through on the lap traffic. Again, Newcop, sorry. That's probably got some South African pronunciation, probably some Afrikaans name. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm British, so everything's phonetic. And if it's foreign, it's slow and loud, will do the trick. So yeah, I certainly pursued the right career path in terms of commentary with loads of names and, of course, the international scene. But hey ho, I hope I manage. Hamling on the back of Jamondali still. There's a sticker in front of it, can't quite see it close enough to confirm who that might be. But pleasure to have you in watching along. as to the other 10 people in the live chat. Oh, here comes Hamling darting to the inside of T1. So close to contact once again. That's his second attempt. Was brave, was bold, but not successful. To kickstart the season so far, if he can hang on for the final 17 minutes, Hassan will be taking a full 30 points and will lead the way in the standings. Of course, only after round 1. We have got 6 rounds in this championship. If you are joined us a little bit late, we did go through the calendar for the season. While we do focus our attention on this fight between Millington and Sun, both very close for P4. Of course, we did kickstart our season here at Kyalami. We go to Nürburgring in a week's time. Then after that, Watkins Glen, Zolder, Bathurst, and Suzuka will round off the season. So 5 more historic circuits, both a variety, all a variety in driving style. Different cars will handle best through different circuits. All of them really do lend themselves quite well to overtaking as well. Maybe with the exception of Bathurst and Zolder, they are quite tight and twisty and walls pretty much any opportunity they can run off. Some mistakes will be punished, maybe similar today with a race of attrition. But the others certainly go at it, go ham. Enjoy yourself. Hamling still on the back of Chimondale. In fact, Smokey's been able to get his way through. And as the timing refreshes, that Mercedes ahead of the Ferrari. And now the BMW of Jackson as well, right in check. 15 minutes, 50 seconds left to go in this race. Looking to the checkered flag. Jimmy Nuttall will be delighted to see that checkered flag. He didn't dominate the first stint, he's certainly dominating the second. 5 seconds clear of Jack Young in P2. And the BMW duo of Young and Merman round off the podium in second and third. Then comes Millington and Son 4 and 5. Then this fight, Chimondale, Smokey and Hamling 6th, 7th and 8th. Jackson rounds off in 9th. And then of course with Ticehurst and Soristo not far off, this could very well turn into a pretty long train, pretty hefty train. We'll find out. Time will tell who's that off. That's Andrew Pike in the BMW, having an off through the final couple of corners. A bit wide, maybe off the exit of Cheetah, and buried it in the gravel. Not great. Here comes Millington and Son. Is he going to get in the way of them? Oh, might have to back out a little bit, Mike Millington. That could allow Son to get a better drive. He's very, very close to the back of the Audi. Could we see him move? That Porsche could be quite slippery in a straight line, depending on the setup. Millington seems to have the drive, though. And no move probably going to be forced on this occasion, unless the 26 has got some 28, sorry, has got some worldy send. Had a bit of a look to the left-hand side. Not a good enough one, though. Again, that's been the theme. Fighting with Volodja and Van Wingerden. Nissan holding them stern. Making it as wide as possible. And Nissan is pretty chunky, pretty wide, pretty beefy too, so I mean, so too is the BMW, to be fair. But more so the Nissan. Godzilla. And is keeping the 2 German manufacturers behind for the time being. Of course, P17, 4 points. Kublin wants them for himself to the inside of Clubhouse Bend and isn't able to find a way through, but a good attempt. Good enough, though. Still defensive is the Nissan. The BMW going to try and go for the over and under, get the switcheroo, get the drive down the hill, cuts the grass a little bit too eager. Has got the drive though. He's very close to the Nissan, down the hill, through the sweeping bend. The Nissan going defensive. Van Wingerden going defensive, so he clearly feels a threat from Coupland. He closes the gap on the exit. That switcheroo not doing wonders for him though. The gap between Young and Merman as well, I've just noticed 2.7 seconds between the 2 of them, so not great for that fight for second place that we'd have hoped for. Volodja to the inside of Coupland as well, so it really has just been a race of dummies and half-hearted attempts. And Coupland do though. And the Martini Racing BMW, close enough for a send? Yes, no, maybe. Answer that is no. Volodja might be though, he's looking Very feisty. The Nissan goes in deep though. Coupland has sold on the dummy, gets side by side, gets ahead through T2 and 3. And now into P17. 4 points will be going his way if he can hang on for the rest of this race. So not at all a bad effort. At least it's points in the opening round. Hamling still at the back of this train, running a little bit wide off the exit of Barbecue. Interesting corner names here at Kyalami, actually, must be said. But in doing so, he's allowed Jackson to have a look to the outside of Sunset Bend. Not happening though. Not happening. Too tricky. Goes for the switcheroo. Not got the drive. Hamling hangs on. Easy peasy. No threats. But yeah, some interesting names here at Kyalami. Crowthorne. Chickaseki Sweet, Barbecue, Sunset, Clubhouse, S's, Lukop, Mineshaft, Crocodiles, Cheetah. So we go from Crocodiles to Cheetahs. Then Ingwer for the final corner, I believe. And the King, very creatively named. The King. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah. Most of the corners here at Kyalami are named, which is nice. Gives them a nice bit of character, makes them more memorable. Everyone remembers Overvision Radio because of their history, their character, and their name. They'd be a lot more disappointing if they were named turns 1 and 2 or turns 2 and 3. So yeah. But their names are iconic. And I find love. This is Crimson to the inside of Acton. Oh, that's brave, especially on the mobile chicane that is that Aston Martin. And to back out, sensibly so. The S's. Track is still optimum as it has been all evening. So not too drastic in that sense, no adaptability required for this race. There's the battle. P10 now, Hamling has tumbled down behind TSRC and Jackson. Really having a tough time in that Ferrari. It's one of those cars that are good all round, I'd say. Pretty average everywhere. No real striking attributes. It's just there. It's just a car. It's easy to drive, easy to jump into. Maybe good on the brakes for Hamling. He's going to hope as he darts to the inside of Lukop. Turn 10, gets it stopped. Back up inside the top 10, so will be 11 points going his way. Unless there's anything to say about it. Gets the drive. Close enough. That's been a phrase I've been getting bored of myself hearing, let alone you guys at home. Close, but not close enough. But yeah, that's been the theme. That's been the action. I only call it. I'm only the messenger. That's what's been going on. Close, but not close enough. Nearly there. Not quite good enough, though. Cheetah. Can Hamling launch a reoffensive? Smoggy, though, has had a resurgence of pace and is finally onto the back of Cholmondeley. Ascend into T1. He is close. I'm going to say it. He's not close enough. Cholmondeley hangs on, though. Goes in deep. Smoggy tries. Blue Barbecue. Just saying an Aussie accent. Barbecue. I mean, South African isn't too far away. I'm sure there's going to be South Africans that are going to kill me for saying that. Yeah, they're not too distinctly different. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Obviously, Australia and New Zealand are quite close in terms of where they are worldwide, so it would make sense that their accents are quite close. But South Africa is on a different continent entirely. They have similar sort of twangs in their accents. Interesting. Probably a scientific or dialect reason for that, one that I'm not clever enough to understand. Get my GCSE results back in a week, so we'll find out A results today as well. So well done to anyone watching along. Hopefully you got what you got. Hopefully you're happy with what you got. If you're not, then what can you do about it? You can only press forward and keep your head up, keep pushing. It's not over. Lots of different avenues to take, lots of different things out there. So keep your head up and keep moving. But someone who's going to be hoping to boast about their achievements today is going to be Jamie Nuttall, who's been very dominant. Hopefully Cimondoli as well is going to boast about his defence against the likes of Smoggy and Soristo. Practically being pushed through the final corner is Samuel Cimondoli in the Chum Chum Train BMW. Well, that's certainly a fitting name. He's all aboard the BMW. As everyone's latched in tow. Cimondoli parking the car in the middle of the circuit. Smoggy getting late to the left-hand side. Isn't late enough. Cimondoli going to hang him to dry around the outside. Gets the squeeze over the curb through turn 2. Still side by side with the Mercedes. Smoggy, wheel banging as they go through. Finally has to concede this. Could invite Soristo through as well. Gets the better drive on the run towards Sunset. It's going to be the long way round. Are they going to be 3 wide? No, Cimondoli wants to launch the offensive back on Smoggy. He's got to be committed. He's got to be brave. Is he brave enough to go around the outside there? Contact. Oh, Smoggy sent sideways. Cimondoli sent wide. They are still going to run side by side as they head in towards Clubhouse. Side by side. The BMW on the inside. The Mercedes the long way around. Finally, I think Smoggy has to back out unless he's going to go the long way around through the S's. Bumper to bumper to bumper, are they? All 4 cars. Soristo through. All contact sideways between them all. Soristo goes off. Every other car tries to bully his way through. 3 wide on the run towards Lukop. All kicking off now as Jackson sends one to the inside of Smoggy. And they're going to run side by side. Absolute carnage and chaos for this fight for P6. It's all kicked off all in the span of 1 lap. And now we've got a good 6 cars in contention. Smoggy the long way around of this sweeping left-hander in towards the Crocodiles. Who's going to break later? The Ferrari of Hamling also trying to follow the gap through. Use the Mercedes as the pry to open the gap up. It'll be the inside for Cheetah. The penultimate corner not close enough and not got enough alongside to fabricate that move, but fantastic racing between these guys. Soristo the long way around of Hamling trying to make amends for that gravel moment through the S's. Comes out on top, back inside the top 10, back inside into P9. TSRC as well making the most of this carnage to get himself inside the top 10, side by side with Hamling. Should be a fairly easy affair. Hamling going to dart his way to the inside, breaks late. TSRC though is braver, kicking off in front between the BMW, Mercedes, BMW, the Mercedes sandwich, BMW bread, of course. The Mercedes is being sandwiched by the BMW. He's not in a BMW sandwich. You don't call it a bread sandwich, you call it a ham sandwich. And I will stand by that until the day I die. Rob Jackson through Sunset. Back of Smoggy. Still. Nissan in front, back marker. 6 cars to negotiate their way through. Are they all going to be able to do it cleanly? 4 minutes 50 left to go in this race, and the midfield is spicing up. Still, what surprised me is through all of that, Cimondoli has still been able to hang firm. The Nissan just saying, yeah, nah, too long of a train for me. I'm just going to go off the track, let you all go. Have a nice day, guys. Enjoy yourselves. But yeah, through all of that, through all the wheel banging, the moves, the chaos, he still comes out on top, and still he's got Smoggy along just behind him. So yeah, remarkable stuff. Is it going to be deja vu? Is history going to repeat itself? Because that Mercedes is close. You can also see TSRC and Soristo close on Jackson, who's under pressure, having to park the car in the middle of the circuit to discourage the move. Has it discouraged it enough? The Aston Martin of Soristo looking feisty. And to no avail for the Aston Martin for now, at least. It's been a race of finales. It's been a race of sit behind the rear wing and wait for a moment. Pretty much for the last hour and 12 minutes has been that case for a lot of drivers to say, I'm going to sit here, I'm just going to chill. Yeah, no, I'm going to go for a move. Just have a nice leisurely Thursday night drive. I forgot what day it was then. Sun is also quite close to the back of Bennington. Porsche versus Audi fight. So we do need to get away from this fight for any reason. You see Jackson on the back of Smoggy towards turn 10. The BMW the long way around is going to be difficult because of that kink. The Mercedes is going to hold firm on the inside, take the shorter route round and stays in front. But a good effort from Jackson, and is allowing the P6 man of the 111 Cimondoli to edge his way ahead. Jackson looking to the inside. That's going to compromise his run. Soristo now going to capitalise off it. Give them the inside for the Crocodiles, side by side between himself and Jackson. Jackson holding firm, he's being stubborn, back up the inside, but it'll be the outside for Cheetah. Contact! Oh, one of them sent off, that's Cerezo. Both of them make that sent off, keeping it pointed the right way. A great save from the Aston Martin of Cerezo, though. That's difficult, very, very difficult. Oscar Cerezo, I mean, he's finished. They do know their way around a good bit of car control, and, well, that's a brown pants moment. To keep that car pointed in a straight line, although it's knocked its confidence, it's knocked its form. It could invite TSRC to go to dummy to the inside. The space has been opened. Hammering as well on Jackson for P10. Gets it done. Brakes late, claims the corner, up he goes. Easy peasy. And there we go. Very, very interesting how this one's panned out. We've waited all race for some action. It's all coming at us all at once amongst these midfield guys. All wide though, again from Cerezo. Mistakes you can't be affording if you want to bring home P8. He wants to chase after Lexus Mogan and Shimondali as the battles amongst this train have broken them up into their own different trains. That's sideways again for Cerezo. His form knocked and isn't looking too comfortable at this point in the Aston. In my own experience, of course, I've only driven the Aston Martin on PS4. We'll come back to that. Hammering under pressure from Jackson. Nothing happening though. My experience with the Aston Martin, I find it way too understeering. Maybe that's because I had the default aggressive setup on, but I just couldn't tame it. It felt nice, but I opted for Mercedes instead. And yeah, the Aston just wasn't it for me, but Cerezo seems to be taming it too well. Wasn't quite the oversteery car that he's experiencing though. Maybe running a bit more of a stiffer car, a bit more of a jaggedy car to compensate for that understeer. But still running well, 8th place. Shy about as we come on to what I believe will be the final lap of the race. Natal will try and claim victory here. 6 seconds clear of Jack Young from pole position as well. It must be said the number 14 has done a great job, of course. You know, it's not been too easy for him because of the pressure that his rival a little bit earlier on of Rignara put on a little bit earlier on. Of course, was able to stay in front for the entirety of the first stint, but Natal has made no mistakes today. He's been absolutely flawless and he's only got 10 seconds left to go. Is he going to get another lap in? No, he's not. Jamie Natal from pole position in the Honda NSX. He's done well in the evaluation races. He gets his season off to an absolute cracker here in Kyalami. Round 1 of the TSRC GT3 series will go the way of Jamie Natal. He came, he saw, and he conquered as he will now come across the line to take the flag and win the first race of the season in really, really good display. Jack Young will come home 4.5 seconds later in P2. Merman P3 rounds off the podium with Josh Millington a few seconds later P4. Then Sun will round off in P5. Literally just behind, a close battle between those two. More to be decided though in this train. Still close. Still what ifs with how chaotic they've been. And the likes of Marcinek and those not on the lead lap will also take the checker flag as they cross. But this is where our attention focus is. Chimondali seems comfortable for P6. Unless Smogy's got some special send in towards the final corner that we're not too sure about. It seems to be that it's going to stay as is in this. You can see the flares and the celebration starting amongst our virtual crowd today. Smogy comes home P7. Couldn't quite get past the BMW's valiant defensive lines. And that's the settle for 7th. Still a great result to get this season underway. Round us off our action today, ladies and gents. Some action it was. We waited a while for the action. It came, and when it came in truckloads. Well, GT3 loads, I guess. Plan that a little bit. Who knows? Mav will come home. He is P12. Then Samuel Loambert in P19, taking home two points. The last to cross the line, and then we'll go to the results, how they rack up. Here they are though. Jamie Natal takes victory ahead of Jack Young and Merman, who round off the podium. The two BMWs were relentless for most of that race against each other. though it was Young that was able to edge himself ahead. Josh Millington P4 with Sun rounding off the top 5. Tremendally a valiant defence in that BMW, that 111 to stay in 6th place. Smogy P7, Saristo P8, Tysehurst and Hamling round off your top 10 with Jackson, Mav, Marchinek, Acton and Crimson in 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th respectively. Pike, Coupland 16th and 17th with Volodja in P18. Loambitz and Verta round off the points paying positions in 19th and 20th. Van Vingden P21 with Khan P22. Larson in P23. Those the first of our DNFs. With Brinaga in P24. Fastest lap though, so I guess bittersweet. Makes up for the potential race win that he's lost. Fujikawa P25, Ziege P26 and Shaw P27 didn't even complete a single lap in this race. Well, 5 laps in this race, it must be said. So respect for that. But unfortunately for them, didn't quite get to the best of starts in this championship. Though still a long way to go. And while our action today has been drawn to a close, we have got 5 more races over the course of the next few weeks. We had Kyalami today. We head to the Nürburgring in a week's time, August 25th, same time as always. My name is Zach Sweeney. It's been a pleasure to talk you through all the action and to get this season underway. It was a cracker. Hopefully, in future, hopefully the Nürburgring can bring us some little bit more action to keep us going for the entirety of the hour 15 mark. But to all those watching at home, to all those watching post-race, to all the drivers, a very, very well done. An absolute pleasure to be a part of it. Thank you, of course, to the cameraman to bring you the production feed as well. Done a cracking job of trying to compete with the Assetto Corsa overlay. But yeah, no, overall, a fantastic job. It's been an absolute pleasure. And until then, guys, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.